Long day lay me low.
Hear that aspartame, everybody. Get it, live it, love it. We got a great one for you. Welcome, everybody. Comics and Conversations, welcome back. We are here. We're ready to get going. It's cold. Shovel the driveway. But you know who didn't have to shovel their... Well, they might have had to shovel their driveway. Angela. What's going on, Angela?
Hello, Jason. Not much. I know. I was not expecting the weather pattern that we received this morning that graced our...
Yeah, well, the one... What, Saturday or Friday, it was like 35, 38, 40, somewhere in there. It melted everything. And then overnight tonight, boom, just hit. So,
I was really missing snow. Now I'm actually remembering that I'm okay without it. But anyway,
I lived in Florida for 10 years and I didn't miss snow one day.
No, but
Not
it is
one
pretty.
Day.
It's pretty.
Yeah. I tell everybody, Ohio is fantastic because it looks nice. Yeah, and you hate snow. Also in the fall, it's gorgeous. You know, but the thing that sucks about fall is it means winter is coming and you're going to hate, the next 7 months of your life. But you know what we're not going to hate about this next hour is it's fantastic. I'm excited. I like meeting new people. It's fun. It's great. These cats hit me up on the Facebooks. So we are streaming on Facebook, by the way, everybody. So if you don't want to hear anything we have to say, there's links pinned everywhere. Go check out Always Punch Nazis if you want to just say, who cares what these guys are saying? But you might want to listen. You get to know these people. We got two people, maybe three coming on. We got now meeting these people for the first time. We got Ben. I'm going to get their names right. And Jay should be easy to remember since that's my name too.
It's practically twins. I mean,
we look just the same. Look
he
at
just
this.
needs to work on that beard.
Yeah, mirror image.
Anyway, seriously. Very cool. Nice meeting you guys.
Yeah, what's going on? Yeah, thanks for reaching out. I don't know about you guys, but I mean, people add me on Facebook. I check out their page. If I see artwork, usually is the way it goes. If I see artwork, I'm like, okay, I like that artwork, and they're not a bot, add them. It's because that means they're into comics. They like art of some kind, or they like all this stuff. So I'm all about the art, all about the books and stuff like that. And I guess we've been friends for a while. I don't know how long, Ben, but
a little while to know you do a cool show.
Thanks, man. Yeah. And we're not acquainted yet, Jay, but you can always shoot me a Facebook ad. I'll add you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Like I said, I also like checking out the mutual friends, because if it's like one mutual friend, you're like, oh, that person's a bot. Like, I'm not going to add him. But if you have like 68 and you see, oh, he's friends with Shelby too. Oh, cool. So then you're like, okay, I'm going to add this guy. But yeah, so appreciate you reaching out to me. We do try to showcase mainly artists is what we try to do. Like, well, here's the thing. When I say artists, I mean artists, writers, musicians, artists, visual artists, all that stuff. So to me, it's all good. It's all good. So one thing I like to do is ask. Comics are before I ask that, Angela, why didn't you yell at me?
Jason, we're supposed to read the chat.
Let's say hello to the fine people in the chat.
No more. Anyway, hello everyone, and if anyone are lurking, cheers to you. We got Paulus. Hey, Paulus. Oh, wait. And we got Rex here. Cheers, Rex. And me.
What's up, Rex?
Anyway. Well, people will be funneling in. We generally have oh my gosh, how did I forget? And then we got ODF, Older Dirty Fatty.
Old Dirty Fatty.
Cheers, man. So
it's normally people trickle in as the show goes on. It's the way it normally works. But like this, share this out on your social media platform of choice, and get the word out there. Get people eyes on Always Punch Nazis, because I like the artwork, and it's got great stories and a lot of stories in it. So you're gonna, you could check it out. And it's like I was saying, it's on Kickstarter, which we're going to go into all that later on too. So I want to get back to it. What got you? Because comics are very niche, very like when we were growing up. At least when I was growing up, it wasn't cool like it is today, where like, oh, everybody has a Captain America shirt, So what got you guys into comics, and do you remember your first comic book, or was there even one or anything? We'll start with we'll go this way. We'll go Jay and then Ben.
Oh man.
So you're asking about my first comic. I think it came in a He-Man toy, honestly.
Oh, you got one of those.
I don't
nice.
remember. I honestly, I don't remember what my first comic book would be, but it had to be something from He-Man because I had like every He-Man toy in those early lines back in the day. So from there, it's like going into the local 7-Eleven, picking up whatever comics are. And then that evolved into like, just going to a comic and getting whatever I could get my hands on. That's really like, I didn't realize I was into comics until I was probably knee deep in comics. And I'm like, I guess
it sneaks up on you. And the next thing you know, you're like, hoarding them. So,
I mean, you could do that side of my room. No, but if I think back and I'm like talking to my or thinking about my friends growing up, I'm like, oh, that dude was always the Punisher. We talk comics, like fourth grade me is writing comics and not even realize I'm writing comics. They're breaking Batman's back and we're writing stories and writing X-Men stories in school. And like, you don't realize that what you're doing until all of a sudden it's like, I've been doing this forever. I've been into comics as long as I can remember. It's one of those weird things. And then, you go to college and then it's like, I remember comics, and you get right back into them. And next thing you know, you have like 18 boxes filled with comics just sitting on the floor getting yelled at from somebody in the house.
Oh, yeah. And then you got
too many books. Get them away. Put them away. Clean the room. I think Ben's wife might have yelled at me once for him.
Oh, no.
Paul's saying in the chat that that was his first comic, or he might have had it. MOTU was a shit as a kid.
Masters of the Universe.
Angel. Oh, that's right.
Oh, I knew that.
Jeez, oh man. How about you, Ben? What started your trails into the comic book kingdom?
I'm going to be 49 here in a few weeks.
Oh, happy birthday.
I started collecting comics when I was 10 years old. Drawing.
Yeah, about the same.
Tracing. Okay. It's about the same.
Yeah.
10 years old, started drawing them, tracing basically, and I never looked back. I think I may have sold a comic book collection when I was 16 and took a year or two off, and otherwise, no, I've been doing it my whole life, reading and then making them full time, probably for about, 16, 17 years now. I worked with Rob Liefeld at Extreme Studios in the 90s.
Oh, cool.
Where I really learned to make them and appreciate the process. I was an intern, an assistant to Matt Hawkins and the Maximum Press label. I was there about 2 years right after high school. Best experience of my whole life. It ended badly. That's the truth. I won't get into the details, but it ended. And I probably took some time off after that, but right back in it by the end of the 90s, and I love it. I always thinking about new ideas and new characters. Jay has become my closest collaborator, along with Kurt Belcher. It's basically the three of us that sort of make all the decisions for Pilot Studios. I made Pilot Studios, and I consider the three of us the brains behind it. We discuss what we're going to do in the next projects and how we're going to do it and blah blah blah. So 2016, Charlottesville happened, and we decided to make Always Punch Nazis. Based on that, a guy named Silas Dixon suggested it, and I ran with it, and I got tons and tons of people to help out, and we've made 3 volumes so far.
Yeah, if you look at the campaign page, like if all those people are involved in making the book, that's a lot of people. That's I'm like, holy crap! When I saw that, I'm like, that's an insane amount of people to corral together. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
that's
the overarching career.
Why Pilot Studios? Did you like Stone Temple Pilots? Is that why? I like. Hey, that's a great band. I love them.
It is a great band, but no, that had nothing to do with it. Pilot Studios. It's just it's a cool name. If you look at the logo, I got a Zeppelin crashing in the logo, which I think is kind of unusual and different. Somebody said, "No, that means you're not a very good pilot." But I'll also never forget that logo. Pilot Studios doesn't mean anything specific except that it's cool, and I have an association with Extreme Studios, and so Pilot Studios just made sense.
I've doing crowdfunding, independent comics and stuff like that. I met a couple people, and now I hang out with a few people. I call Shelby a friend, and he worked at Extreme and everything like that. So it's interesting. We kind of have similar connections there. How did you two meet then? How did you two, and Kurt? I know he's not here, but hey, let's throw him in the pile as well.
my recollection for Jay is that Erica Heflin, who co-created another property with me called The Carriers, about weaponized carrier pigeons and their New York adventures, and that's been published by Red 5 Comic Books. Jay was introduced to me by Erica, and so I chatted with him, and we haven't stopped working together since.
So as far as that process goes, then Jay, do you like write the script out in comic format, or do you work like Marvel method, where you're like, hey, this is what's going to happen in the page, and then you just have your go at it? Like, what's your working process like?
Personally, I prefer full script because what tends to happen when you're doing independent books is they just take a while. They take a while to come out. So if I'm working, I did Marvel method on one story. And I wasn't real quick,
not to interrupt. Can you explain to people what the Marvel method is for those who may not know?
So Marvel method is back when Stan Lee was writing every book in the Marvel universe. He needed a shortcut, so he would give a synopsis to an artist. They might discuss it, they might have a conversation, and based on that synopsis, the artist would draw out 22 pages. Or whatever the book required at that time, whatever the story was, and then he would look over the art and add dialogue. It sounds great in theory, and when you're pumping out a book a month, that probably is fantastic. Full script is when you're writing, page 1, panel 1. Here's a description of what goes in the panel. Here's the dialogue that should go in there. Then panel 2, and you do the same. For me, that works the best, only because I could always go back and revise dialogue. But if it's all there, it's all laid out on the page. I never had an issue with any artist. You could ask Ben, he does it all the time. You're just like, hey, this is how you interpret the page. Change it up. Go ahead. Feel free. I can rework it after the fact. But for me, I need a template because, if it takes 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, a year, 2 years to create a book, I just want that foundation there for my own self. So that's why the Marvel method prevents a lot of or allows for a lot of changes, but over the course of that amount of time, those changes could become things you just forget about. So changing it with a full script is a lot easier for me. But everyone has their own method, so everyone,
Ben, is that kind of how you like to work, like a little more like straightforward, structured thing, or like how much, and also how much freedom are you allowed in the panel? Like, can you change things up as you see fit, and such?
Like Jay mentioned, he's okay with the artist changing stuff up because Marvel method demands a lot more from the artist, right? You have a plot, a paragraph, and you're expecting the artist to break that down into 22 pages. You're quadrupling the amount of work. So I'd rather look at a script that Jay's written or Kurt has written that says five panels on page 1, 3 panels on page 2, etc. And I can design it based on that. Sometimes I have some leeway and I will change it. I'll make this 4 panels instead of 6 because we don't need 6. We can, and then Jay or the writer will, like you said, make changes based on how we actually produce that page. As long as we get the information across, everybody's happy in the end.
Well, and not only that, you guys have been working together long enough that you probably have a certain flow and mindset of be like, okay, I'm going to put this down, but I could trust that Ben's going to go ahead and just, interpret it a proper way. I don't need to really describe much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one of the things when you write a script, you have to understand you wrote it, but it's going through someone else's, their lens, so you can almost think of like Ben as the director of the story. Here's the story in front of you, direct it how you see fit. I rarely would call for like camera angles on the artist. And if, there's an artist that says, oh, this action would look really cool if we added 3 quick panels, it's like, go for it. Because they see something that I don't. And I always love that. I always think that's like the heart of collaboration right there. Is like, what do you see that I'm missing? What do you notice, or what's not working? I always tell people, challenge me, tell me what I can do to improve. Otherwise, I'm never going to get better.
Ben, I'm curious because this is how I work is a mixed media type thing where I use digital as well as traditional, vice versa. Yeah. Or what's your preferred method? How do you like to get your stuff out?
My method hasn't changed much in all these years. I take 11 by 17 sheet of Bristol board. And I take the script and I start penciling out, and I'll do a rough layout.
There you go.
So we're in the middle of a page right now. This is
nice.
John Michael Helmer. Really rough layout basically of the action. I'm getting more detailed into this panel. Really rough here. Maybe I've started to detail out some trees with some snow on top, and then just rough layout. I know that this is going to change. I know that this is going to change, but I can go directly into ink on this. Right. So that's the way I work.
So you're full on traditional. You don't worry about the digital stuff, or do you color digitally?
No, I don't color at all. This is what I do. This is the extent. This is a finished page, pencils and inks.
I love
I scan it and I send it off to a colorist and a letterer. This is my, and then besides the artwork, I'll do some plotting. I think Jay would agree that I'll come up with a basic general idea and maybe a paragraph of plot ideas, and then he or Kurt typically will sit down and actually type out that 22-page script based on that idea, right? And we'll throw around ideas and agree on something that we like based on those.
Now, you work that way because that's just how you've been working this whole time? There's no point in tossing in the digital thing? Or are you like totally anti-digital guy? Like, are you like, yeah, that's the devil?
I don't have time. I'm full-time. I have a full-time career. I got a couple hours at night.
Wait, you don't have time for digital? I would think digital would be an easier method to.
It is, but isn't. What catches a lot of people with digital is zooming. Like a lot of people get when you zoom in more than what you can see, and so people get hung up on those details, and then it takes next thing you know, your page is taking twice as long.
Angela, you're probably absolutely right. Time wise, if I were to learn it, it would save me a lot of time. I like the smell of paper. I like the smell of ink. I like the fluid. I like the mess.
No, I'm with you, Ben. I do work digitally just for reasons, but when it comes down to it, there's nothing like pencil to paper, pen to paper, getting gritty, getting dirty. Like I love to smear the ink and just play around with it. There's a different kind of connection that comes into, and we'll get to actually even in this regard goes into writing too, about putting either pen to paper, that physical media. Whenever you go in an electronic format, you get a disconnect. It's the weirdest thing, even though the result can be identical. There's this weird feeling of a disconnect. It's odd.
And I can sell these pages, I can
and you can sell
stack of pages on my table, and if somebody's interested in it for $50, $40, whatever, they can pick it up. I don't have that option, with digital.
Well, and also you can toss them up on the campaign. Like Ink and I sell plenty. Like a lot of our backers come in. Like the money part comes in because we sell the original art on the campaign.
There you go.
Shelby's calling me out for being a rebel rouser, so being a bad influence. So I apologize. Everyone.
Come on, no apologies necessary.
Good
questions.
What's up, Prater? No, Shelby's got to keep Angela in line. We all know this.
And Paulus is doing digital right now, I guess. That's what he says.
Well, and like I said, it's what works for you in the end, in the long run. It's really what does. Now, when I was growing up, I was at first like, Photoshop was coming out and I'm like, that's cheating. And now I've learned to be like, oh, it's not. You still got to know what you're doing. And this goes into writing as well. Like, Jay, do you do like a notebook method? Like, how do you do it? Because I know a guy, his name is Edwin Acevedo, good friend, Buzz. He'll sit in his bed at night and just on his phone, like just in his notes, write it up like crazy. So like, how do you go about it?
So everything going digital makes life a little bit easier. Like it's funny you say notes because that's where I'll be walking somewhere and I'll just pull out my phone and go to the notes and just type like a bullet really fast. Just a quick reminder of something that, maybe I had an idea or maybe Ben and I were discussing and I had something that went with it. But whenever I sit down and start like with rough ideas or just anything to get down, I'll just put the computer out and I'll start typing. And I tell everybody the worst enemy of a writer is like that blank page, because you could stare at that cursor or you could stare at that line, you could hold that pen in your hand or however you choose. And I'll just start typing random things. This is stuff nobody would ever see. But it's just it's almost like a literal conversation with myself about what am I going to write. And usually it's like, what am I going to write? I'll type that. I'll just start typing words. And then before I know it, if like I might come up with this absurd story or this idea, and then just all of a sudden it clicks, and then you start typing more. And you could always go back and refine and revise and change up. But if you have nothing there to change, it's almost like it's going around a lot lately. You see it on the internet. Get something done and then make it good later. So that's kind of my method, is just write whatever you can write. It doesn't matter how absurd it is, and then eventually a story comes out of that. That's my method.
No, and I mean, like you said, like there are, and like I said, there are advantages to like the era we live in. Like you said, you could bust out your phone in the middle of a Starbucks and just be like, "Oh, I got this idea that just came to my head." I do it at work. I'm like, "Oh, this would be a good topic for one of my videos." Can I do a dumb video every now and then? Just say whatever, right? And I don't know what it is. When I'm at work in the middle of the day is when I think of them. Once I get home, they've lost my head. I can't think of anything to talk about, like for my video. I'm like, I'm stuck. So the phone notes are a savior in that regard. Because I'm like, oh, I wanted to talk about standing in line at the grocery store. That's what I want. I'm an idiot. But there's a disadvantage also with all this, especially coming into now. And this is something I talk about quite often in our sphere. I'm sure you guys have talked about it plenty. Is AI. AI has come around and it's totally been something that is really controversial. Especially, it's not so hugely terrible like in the visuals. It is, but like, how do you feel about Chat GPT, and do you utilize any of that stuff? Are you like adverse against it, or do you find it to be something you could be like, look, I'm stuck, maybe it could like fix my little wrench problem?
I don't touch it, honestly.
Okay, nice.
Okay, I don't go near it. You know, I'm a teacher, my day job. Right? I'm a teacher by day, a writer by night. And all my administrators are like, oh, use this Chat GPT, use this. And I'll get like emails from admin. I'm like, why are you using Chat GPT? And you could call it out instantaneously. I got 2 emails within 10 minutes from the same administrator. They both sounded exactly the same with like a tweak here and a tweak there. I'm like, why are they promoting this? Everyone's using AI, you know, AI art, AI this, AI writing, AI stories, but AI ideas, however you want to go about it. I'm like, you're setting yourself up to lose your own job.
Well, and not only that, like you just said, why for the ideas? Like, I don't know about Ben, Jay, both of you guys, Kurt out there listening. I have an insane amount of ideas that I just like. I mean, I could just sit down and just draw a random thing, and I'm like, oh, this guy's pretty dope. And then you think of a backstory, and like you can integrate him into a thing. I mean, I think we're all endless fountains of ideas. So when people go into like either AI art, like they type in prompts, and which to me is just terrible. I can see it being utilized for a reference purpose, but even still, you got Google Images at your resource. Sure. Or just take a photo of yourself holding a sword. You know what I mean? You could easily do that too.
Primary language is saying stories are a distraction. He's guessing, so they come when your brain's trying to escape. Is his theory, which I would say makes sense.
Yeah, well. That's the other thing. My job is menial labor. Like I zap a thing, ship it, put the sticker on it, and it goes. So I don't have much to think about. So my brain will just wander as I'm listening to music at work. And so that's another reason. But
Hockey's on Facebook, so I just want to say hi to Hockey.
Oh, what's up, Hockey? Good friend in Australia.
There.
but it's also funny too, because like when you look at the AI algorithms, it's like they pull from a certain resource, and that's resource. You know, at some point it's going to become derivative of other stories. Like if I want to write a Harry Potter meets Ninja Turtles story, I don't need AI to tell me Harry Potter meets Ninja Turtles and come up with ideas. I just did. You know, in the case of Ben and I, he'll throw an idea out there. Usually I like to call it foot and mouth syndrome, where he'll throw an idea out or someone will throw an idea out. And I was like, sure, I could write that. And then I'll be staring at a screen like, how do I write that? But that's how we started working together. Is like, oh, can you do this? I'm like, yeah, I could do that. And then I would say I walked in a circle for like 20 minutes trying to figure out what I was actually going to do. But I said I'd do it, so I was going to do it.
It always turns out right, you know?
And then there are the times that you throw the idea out there. He'll throw one line out there or an image like you just described. The next thing you know, he'll have a paragraph from me. He'll be like, oh my God, that is amazing. And then we're writing a story.
So Ben, like you'll even come up with like characters and concepts and stuff that you'll pitch to Jay, and he'll like flesh it out further, and vice versa. Is that kind of how the flow goes?
Oh, not vice versa. It's very much one way.
Oh, it's one way.
Yeah, I know. I you know, I'm an electrician at work, and I'm wandering around thinking about either electrical or comic books, you know, and sometimes the idea strikes, and I'll tap, you know, and these guys will be like, that's great. And sometimes it goes somewhere. Sometimes it goes nowhere. And that's okay, you know?
Well, it's also always good to, even the things that may not go nowhere right then, you don't know what's going to happen later. Maybe later on you might be like, look, we got like 20 things that really didn't flesh out. Let's go back to the pool and see if we can maybe make these things a reality and bring it to life.
You know, you're absolutely right. Because I can think of 2 things that I've come up with in the last 6 months that Jay sat and wrote an entire script for.
Oh, wow.
And so those are just sitting there waiting. And for whatever reason, We didn't end up actually fleshing it out and producing it. But they're there. The art is started. The character designs are there. So, we have so many things sort of in the hopper that we'll be busy for a long, long time. We're always coming up with new stuff too. I'm drawing, I don't know, 2 or 3 stories right now. And
Jeez.
When I'll actually get to these things that we've created is a good question. Or, maybe those scripts that Jay has created based on my original ideas that he's developed, maybe we find another artist for those, right? Because I can't draw everything that we come up with together. That's the reality.
No, I mean, you want to work on the things that are really core to you, and like the other things that are like, oh, this is kind of a side character. We'll give it to this great team over here. You guys play with it, have fun with it. And whenever you do that, let's say you do that, how much growth or freedom do you allow them to develop that IP, that character further without or do they have to consent with you and be like, hey, is it cool if we do this? Like, would they do this?
We want to set certain parameters. We don't want to change a basic formula that we've agreed that we like, right? But at the same time, there's certain things that I'm capable of drawing, and there's certain things that I'm really not, right? They just don't turn out right. So for example, we created this thing called Search Party. It's sort of a G.I. Joe style book focused on search and rescue characters, right? So that is heavy vehicle oriented, right? We want G.I. Joe style characters doing G.I. Joe style things. They need to be, there's a tech angle to it that I'm really not very good at, right? Mm-hmm. I can do it. It doesn't look quite right. It takes me a long time, a lot of time of me banging my head against a wall. So I need somebody who's better in those aspects. And so if I'm going to, find somebody else to do that book eventually, you have to give them some leeway to design it as they think is cool. And I would never step in and say, it's got to be a certain way if somebody's a better artist and can do something better than me. So just an example of what we've done, and maybe we'll get to it someday.
Yeah, because you guys have quite a lot going on. Like I said, I saw that team that you guys had on that, and that's, like I said, insanity. So you have a lot of very talented people at your disposal and trustworthy people. Because I come to find, people will often tell me, "Hey, can you do this?" And it's something I can do. But what I like to be like, yeah, I could do it, but you got to let me loose because you got to trust that I kind of know what I'm doing because you hired me for this stuff. You know my style. Yeah. That's what you wanted. You want that thing. You got to trust me to let loose and go with it, and to wrangle people in or something. Look, I kind of wanted more of a Jay Lee look rather than a Sam Keith look. What are you doing? It's like it stifles them in a way and it constricts them, and it's like I'm not right for the job at this point. Then
absolutely,
so it's very nice to let people have their own little freedoms and stuff. Plus, it makes it fun for them.
It's been about 10 years since a guy, I teamed up with somebody. I do covers for people all the time if they want something from me, if they're a friend, if we're collaborating and we're doing favors for each other. I do short stories and covers for people all the time. And there was one guy who asked me to do a story, and I started drawing it. And like Jay said, Jay's okay with me sort of changing the camera angles, or the panel count. This guy was not okay with it. I'll never forget it. He was not okay with me sort of interpreting his script. Guess what? I didn't work on it anymore. We don't hang out. We don't make comics anymore because that's fun.
You don't want to work in a team where you're butting heads constantly. It just makes it for it's not a pleasant experience. It makes it for a rough ride, and in that end, the money isn't even worth it at that point. You're like, look, I would rather just avoid the headache and do my own thing. You're obviously more apt with working somebody I don't want to work with Alan Moore. That's kind of how Alan Moore is. It's like, no, there has to be 4 staples and that you have 3. So, that's just insanity. It's like, I gotta have a little bit of freedom here. So, absolutely. Yeah. So is that the kind of movies and stuff you all grew up with and watching G.I. Joes and action movies and stuff like that? Or were you into sci-fi? What were you into?
I'd say Jay can answer that question the best. He's probably most hardcore in all those 80s sort of properties.
Yeah, everything 80s was me. I'm an 80s kid through and through. I mean, you're talking G.I. Joe, Transformers, He-Man, Bionic 6. I could keep going. I was into all of them. Mask
Masker's dope. Yeah.
I think there was 18 mask references in that Search Party script that you have. I'm just look at this mask from Mask.
That's what it was. We wanted to do a G.I. Joe / mask, book.
That was,
No,
that's the
I like
path
that.
it's going. You know, it's a work in progress. But yeah, I mean, that's like my area right through. Batman the animated series, the X-Men
Nice, yeah.
cartoons. I mean, I was always into the Bruce Timm verse was huge for me. I mean, all these things hit at the right time. I mean, I'm born in 1980, so you're talking like my brother's a little older than me, so he gets the G.I. Joe toys, and then the Ninja Turtles hit, and I'm like, this is like some of the greatest stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah, Ninja Turtles was dope, the cartoon, but also whenever I started collecting comics, like Turtles were out for a little bit already,
Yeah.
but I was lucky enough. I'm like, some of my friends, they have like the originals 1, 2, 3, like I'm like, you guys are insane. I know somebody that has like 4 copies of issue 1. I'm like, I don't know how lucky you are, but I got issue 4 in my comic shop of the reprint. But when I saw that artwork, I was like, this is totally different. Like, this isn't your stereotypical comic stuff. So, and then I didn't read it really as much as I looked through it, but then the cartoon, forget about it. I was addicted to that. But yeah, one thing I was into also was sci-fi. Like, is that now? A lot of the stuff sounds like you guys are more delving into like the reality of things. Like you're more grounded. Things are taking place now. Do you ever see like a sci-fi book happening, or you're kind of rooted in what you got?
We do it all.
I was gonna say, yeah, there's no limit. I mean, you have Kanan coming out. That's definitely like a dystopian future fantasy book. We did Saturn and Orion, which was heavier into technology, sci-fi. Search Party is realistic in the same sense G.I. Joe was. That one specifically, we wanted to aim for the era of reality that it could actually take place,
right? But
with that sense of maybe these vehicles are a little ways away. So it is all like all on board, whatever it comes to be. I don't know.
Was that Cranberry Langers?
Langers. It's Langers.
Oh, I say Langers too. Don't worry, Ben.
I got yelled at, and but yes, that's him.
She's asking about Kanan. Kanan the Marauder is something I created, and Kurt Belcher and I developed, and I've drawn 4 complete issues of this book.
Wow.
Into the 5th one right now, all collaborative with Kurt Belcher, and it's about a futuristic rabbit hybrid. The whole planet is full of animal hybrids.
Oh, that's cool.
No people involved, so it's very much a Conan the Barbarian thing.
Oh, I most humbly apologize because I'm going based off of like the G.I. Joe thing, and then the Always Punch Isaac. They're very grounded, so my apologies. I didn't do my research per due diligence.
No,
you don't worry about it.
So are these like muscular bunnies, or are they like little cute bunnies with like wearing like big artillery? What do we got here?
Imagine Conan the Barbarian as a rabbit.
I can't.
Well, Ben's going to get some art.
Yeah, get some art.
Yeah, no, this book is.
I want to see. I'm excited.
Kanan the Marauder. That's Kanan.
Okay, maybe. Oh, that's
like that.
cool.
Here's some more. That's the back cover.
Okay.
So we're talking Conan the Barbarian as a robot, not as a robot, as a rabbit. This cover's by Kurt Belcher. So I have 4 almost completed issues of Kanan the Marauder.
Oh, that's dope.
That's probably my favorite cover. That's Seth Demus.
Wait, don't shortchange the Carrier's art on the back of that one book there.
We haven't even talked about the Carriers yet.
Well, what's that one? What's going on with that one? Why can't we talk about that one?
We can.
I know.
This is
I love them.
This is my creation along with Erica J. Heflin, and Jay sort of took it on as his own and wrote most of the stories. We did 2 full volumes of Carriers with Red 5 Comics. There's 2 volumes, trade paperbacks available out there, and Jay probably wrote 90% of the books in there. About 10.
Those are dope. Are these available on a website or?
They are available at red5comics.com. Yeah.
There you go. Everybody, go check them out. Go get some issues. Those look cool. Yeah.
So that's issue 4 of Kanan the Marauder, and back cover. So, I guess the point is we do everything. We do sci-fi. We do this is set way in the future with a rabbit Conan.
No, that's dope. I like it. But that's what I was getting back to. Plenty of stories. Like, I mean, we're creators, we're artists, we see life through a different lens usually, and indefinite, the amount of things that we're capable of doing. And that's what's great about this indie comic sphere, I think, is the talent pool and the ideas and the concepts they're endless. Like, you could go on to Kickstarter, Indiegogo, Find My Comic, any of them, and just browse for hours on end and be like, ooh, I like that one. Oh, I like that one.
Could you
like
drop your website in the private chat so I can drop it in the channel, in the live stream, in the chat? I was gonna get there, but
the private chat over there.
Private chat, so I can put it in the.
What is Shelby saying?
You guys don't know this, but Ben was getting art published in Extreme Comics before a lot of my own stuff was in print. Oh, that's cool.
I think he's referring to. I used to write letters when I was, in my teens to the Extreme Studios books, and I had a bunch of mail published, in the letters columns. I assume is that what he's talking about.
Maybe it is Shelby.
Of course, worked there when I did.
I honestly,
good. You got.
You need to not hold his chats too dearly, because you never know.
What are you saying?
He drops things. He says things, and
it's just Shelby. He says Shelby says lots of things. The thing is, Ben's here now, and Ben can call him out because Ben knows him, and he's like, Shelby, I know you, dude. No, that's not what happens.
No, that is what happens.
No, don't encourage him, Ben.
Alan Moore doesn't want to work with Alan Moore. That's actually
that checks out. That checks out. Like, I like the Watch. Have you guys checked out the Watchmen, the animated one that was out recently, part 1? It's pretty dope because it follows the exact like, it's the comic. It's just it's still that artwork, everything. It's not a motion comic. It's still animated. It's like 3D assets almost, and it's really cool. But it follows the exact comic book. It's not like the movie where they kind of took liberties here or there. It's like even the Black Sail is in there, all of it. So it's really cool. Part 2 isn't out. Like, you could rent it, which I'm not going to do. I already paid for HBO Max, so I'm waiting for part 2 to go on HBO Max. But it's pretty cool. But yeah, Alan Moore wants nothing to do with all that stuff, which I don't know why. I thought they did a great job interpreting it. What do you guys think of the current comic to movie translation as it's been going? Are you liking any of it? Do you follow any of it? Do you just stay out of it? Like, I don't care.
Are we talking about comic book movies?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So I'm excited about the new ones. Captain America, New World Order, I think.
Brave New World. Yeah.
Brave New World. And
it was New World Order.
I'm excited about.
They changed it.
Yeah. They've been disappointing for the last couple of years. Since Endgame, basically, in my opinion. Some hits, some decent stuff, but overall, the quality hasn't been there. But I always watch it. I always support it. As far as the Marvel movies go.
Nice.
Listen, I remember a day where we were crying for these movies, and we wanted these movies, we needed these movies, and then like X-Men hits, Blade hits, back then. So I'm the Crow. The Crow. I mean. But I said it even like then. It's like I'll support this industry because I want more of those. I want more comic movies, even bad comic movies that I'm not a fan of. I'll go see them. My son, like I know there was an uproar over the newest Ninja Turtles movie, but my son was like, I love this.
Cool.
I'm like, all right, man. That love for that movie makes my Ninja Turtles 1 go up in value because one day someone your age is going to want to buy that book.
Awesome.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, so I'll support whatever's out there, good, bad, and different, and just go see it because I mean, again, you go back to Star Wars. You had Return of the Jedi. When that stopped, the next thing we had was Episode 1. It took how long to come out?
Right.
With the thing here, Droid's the cartoon that came out in between, but it's. You might not like it. It might not be for you. That's okay, but you're getting more. We cried for this stuff as kids. We that's what we want. Then we get Mandalorian, then we get Ahsoka. Now we all complain because we don't like it. It's like, it's not worth it. Just see it, don't see it, enjoy it, don't enjoy it, whatever works for you.
See, and this is where I think trailers are a huge part. What? Angela,
Continue.
You just wanted to interrupt the entire stream for nonsense? That's fine.
I saw
Derailed.
The private link.
Cancel the show, everybody.
Good night.
No. I think trailers are important in that regard because I can't count how many times I've seen a trailer and I'm like, I don't really want to see it. And then I end up like, I'm bored. I watch the movie. I'm like, that was actually pretty good. Or vice versa. Like, I'm like, oh, this movie looks dope. And then I go see the movie. I'm like, that was garbage. Like, so I think trailers back in the day, they used to get you excited and pumped. And they were like, they made the actual good points of the movie stand out. So you could be like, okay, that's what it's about. That's what I want to go see. And you went and saw it. You're now, I'm not going to say you're going to like everything because of a trailer, but I just think that's a huge part of what kind of goes in. Some of the stuff they put out could be misleading at times, but you're right.
I think Suicide Squad did that, right? Suicide Squad had a trailer that made you like have to go see that movie, and then you saw that movie, like, what happened?
Yeah, the Suicide Squad was good. I like.
I like the Suicide Squad.
Yeah, that
I think.
I recently rewatched it.
Hold on.
I think Star Wars Episode 1 had a similar effect too.
Yeah.
Which one was the first one?
The one with Will Smith.
Okay. No, I didn't. I'm sorry. I thought they were both the Suicide Squad. I didn't realize. Anyway,
they're both. There's Suicide Squad with Will Smith. You know, it had the weird like Atari graphics at the end, and then there's the Suicide Squad with King Shark and not Will Smith
by James Gunn.
By James Gunn. Yeah.
I heard a lot of good things about that one.
I'm very excited for Superman. That looks dope. I think that looks cool. I just think it looks fun. It looks like a fun Superman movie. Now, I could be very wrong. I don't know. I'm not a huge DC guy or a Superman fan to begin. Like, I like the movies. I don't like the comic here. I've never really bought them. Well, are you guys mainly Marvel or are you mainly DC?
Easily Marvel.
Easily Marvel. Yeah.
No, I mean I've tried DC movies. Yeah.
Put a book in front of me. Put whatever you want in front of me, and I'll read it.
Nice. Cool. No, yeah, I actually, and because of Shelby, I recently watched the extended Justice League movie, the original one that was supposed to be 4 hours. But you know what? After I was done, I'm like, you know what? That was a better movie.
It was way better. Absolutely right.
It was definitely way better. I like, you could have been part 1 and part 2 easily and released them in theaters, and I think it would have done well.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I put that movie on with no intention on watching the whole thing. I'm like, I'll watch an hour and a half. I'll stop it. I watched the whole thing in one sitting. I was like, this must have been okay.
It did not even feel like 4 hours. Like, it really did.
Eternals, that was like 2.5 hours. It felt like 18 hours. So, I mean,
I skipped that one. That one. But
speaking of Shelby, he asked a question in the chat earlier.
Yeah, about I was going to bring it up. Will Perdomo. Does Ben remember working with Will Perdomo, or does Bill remember?
Yeah,
Will?
I don't remember the name at all, which I assume
it's okay. Will's easily forgettable.
No, ooh,
poor Will.
He's listening right now. That'd be great. Just chime in the chat.
No, I mean Will was in the Extreme Studios around that time frame, and he might have been a young lad at that time, very very young lad, running and getting coffee.
He probably came after me. If I don't know the name, he probably was after me. Yeah. That's a guess.
Yeah, he was on Frega's coattails, hanging up on every little word that he said and stuff like that. Okay. Yeah. So no, Will's a nice guy. He's a friend, and he's got Meathead coming out. Everybody go sign up for Meathead. It's free. It's going to be dope. We got Jason Krager on that. I got a part in the supplemental, so it's going to be fun.
Yeah, pretty sweet.
Yeah. No, but they're great people. But yeah, like one thing I thought was cool as far as like comic movies go, and I know it's not a comic movie per se, although they have. First off, I am excited about the series, Alien series. I want to hopefully that's going to be good.
That looks amazing, yeah.
What I loved about the movie was whenever they wrote that, they just wrote it without like it was all generic people. Like it wasn't specified who looked like what or did what. It was just this is the script, and then he casted afterwards. I thought that was fantastic because it all plays perfectly. And I just love movies like that, though, where it's like, it just, everything just lines up right. And it just, first off, Alien is just a classic. You can't go wrong. I'm a huge fan. But I tend to find sometimes the series, obviously, they let you down. And obviously the budgets aren't really fully there. But this, like, Alien, it's going to be Alien Earth. But they had Alien Earth War. Now, just go off of the comic. Like, that's why Sin City was so dope. There was a structure, like if you watch Sin City and read the comic, it's like panel for panel. It's all right there. Now I'm all for telling new stories, but when you have 60 plus years of stories at your disposal that plenty of people have never even heard of, you could tap into that easily. So I just think that's a good way to go about it. Now, like I said, Superman looks pretty dope. I'm iffy on the new Captain, mainly because my whole hang up is Sam is a normal dude. That's it. That's my only hang up. He's against the Hulk, and he's a normal dude. I even looked it up. Captain America beat the Hulk one time, and it was with the help of Spider-Man. And that's Captain America with the super serum. So that's the only reason why I got to hang up on that movie. But Red Hulk looks dope. Like
I have no doubt that'll be a big plot point, right? How is Sam Wilson going to defeat the Red Hulk? It's part of the movie, and we're going to find out.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to it. You know,
nice. I hope you like it, man. I really do. I hope you really like it. Yeah.
I'm sad about William Hurt. I mean, he did a great job. I mean, like he was in that role, and then he passed away, sadly. But anyway.
Well, I like the actor that plays Falcon. I think he's a great Falcon. I think he does a good job.
Oh, in this new movie?
Well, I don't know about the new movie. I haven't seen it, but as Falcon, I loved him. I think he's a good actor. You know, I think he's got he does great.
This is straight out of the comic books. They're, deviating in some way. So anybody whining about it, in my mind,
I never really read Thunderbolts, so I'm not I don't even know much about that one. Which could make it for a good movie.
Yeah, originally Thunderbolts was basically about a bunch of villains who came up with new names and personalities, I guess, and pretended to be heroes. And so a few issues in, the readers didn't know that they were really bad guys. And that was new and interesting. And so I think that's why it has the respect of comicdom. It did something new back in the day.
Well, not only that, like Thunderbolts is an unknown IP. Like it's like Guardians. Like people had no idea who the Guardians were, and so you might hit with like Suicide Squad and stuff like that. Now, and speaking of movies, like, do you guys have any aspirations of the cinema or series, or are you guys just like, look, we want to do comics. We love comics. That's just it. Like if we get option dope. But that's not a goal at all. Like, what are your viewpoints on that?
I've got a viewpoint. The Carriers is about weaponized carrier pigeons and their New York adventures.
I love that.
Jay took that idea and has written a ton of great stories. And it is those stories that Jay wrote that has gotten it to a company in Hollywood that wants to make a cartoon out of it.
Dope, man. That's
before
cool.
San Diego last year, I was honored to go with the guys from Red 5 Comics all around LA and hit 7 different meetings with different production companies and producers. And one of them, people who handle all of Taylor Sheridan's stuff and all kinds of different things, they are trying to make it a cartoon, and they're talking consistently with other companies about teaming up. And once in a while, I get an update from this guy, and he's trying to take our cartoon, our comic book, and make it into a cartoon. And
that's exciting.
Yeah, we pitched it as a serious kids cartoon like G.I. Joe, like Transformers. And I absolutely would be interested in that being a cartoon.
No, I love that idea. I think it's fantastic. It just makes me laugh every time hearing it. Like, it's great. You both have to be pretty pumped about that. That's pretty cool. Jay?
Oh, yeah, always.
Absolutely.
I mean, anyone that's coming in and says we want to take this to another level, I'm game.
Yeah.
Nice.
Jay will be, so there's discussions about me, my input on a showrunner, that in theory I would be developing this television show with a showrunner. Jason Hewer will be right there with me if and when this actually happens.
Nice.
We will be developing it together because my ideas only go so far. He takes it and actually can create a story based on these ideas.
You're a team.
We're a team. So the cartoon wouldn't, needs him as well. So if it happens, we're going to be making cartoons. Yeah.
And you're a team. You're also a team on this fantastic campaign here that we got going on. I didn't play the trailer because I'm pretty sure I asked you about it. It was, you're like, yeah, you really don't have to. So we can if you want.
Yeah. The video, that's fine.
No, I am sharing my screen, so if I have a pop-up saying, hey, this video is up now on YouTube, please ignore that. But you'll see my cursor. I also took off let me show them my magnifier. You guys might love this. It doesn't show up. Nice. Okay, good. You don't have to worry about seeing it. It's at like 400% zoomed. Tell me, either one of you who wants to pitch, Ben, I think maybe, but tell us about Always Punch Nazis.
I think Jay has a pretty good description on how it started. Why don't you
hit us, Jay,
about how, why?
So back, what was it, 2016, when we see people marching in the streets with torches and pitchforks in Charlottesville?
Go ahead. I want to cut you off real quick. Did you ever see Blues Brothers? The movie Blues Brothers?
Blues Brothers.
Illinois
Brothers
Illinois Nazis. I hate Illinois Nazis. Anyway, go ahead. It made me think of it.
So you know,
Hilarious.
after that happens, you know, we realized we put comics out there. There's the Pilot Studios blimp right there. We put the comics out, and it's like, what can we do? And Ben comes up with this idea with Silas about putting out an anti-racism anthology, which is at its core what this started out as. What it's evolved into kind of goes with that collaboration of all the creators. You know, we put a calling out there. What can we do, guys? You want to join in? We want to do an anthology to battle against hate, battle against racism, battle against all the things that we view as wrong, based on this title, Always Punch Nazis. And that's really the core of where this came from. And it evolves into 3 issues. Now the omnibus came back out. You know, campaign 1 launches, and I was running a campaign at home, and Ben starts messaging me saying, "Oh, we have to change some things in the campaign." And I'm like, "Well, okay, no problem. What do we have to change?" And he's giving me a list of things to change. I have no idea why. I'm just like, all right, changing it. You know, book 2 is coming out, and we start hearing rumblings of Kickstarter putting out a call for a union, which was weird. So we start looking into that, and we realized that there was a lot more to the Always Punch Nazis campaign than we had realized when we launched. Apparently, when we had launched, there was an attack against the campaign from a certain cluster of people in the, I guess, comic book world that were offended. They were offended by a title. No joke. Based on the title, they attacked this campaign. They started I messaging Ben, you know, just coming out with these things that were like, it's just a title, Always Punch Nazis. Who has a problem with Nazis? I'll let that sit for a minute. So we found out that they went after Kickstarter, and Kickstarter management took the book down. So when I'm getting these messages from Ben, he's hearing like, oh, you know, can you do this? He was getting just word from the employees. What we learned was that the employees fought back against management. They said this book should not come down. This is wrong. Mm-hmm. And they fought to keep it up. So what we learned was that, like, they started forming a union based on Always Punch Nazis, like, in that whole incident with that hate group of people who, I guess, like Nazis. I don't
understand it myself, but
I never understood that part. But you know, so that was that. Like, that first volume is almost like a claim, like it's a nice like pat on the shoulder, but it's historic in its own right, because Kickstarter United is the first tech union, and there are links in this campaign that if you click on, you know, there was the oral history of Kickstarter that they talk all about Always Punch Nazis, like a whole episode dedicated to like the inciting incident, so to speak, of Always Punch Nazis launching and the attack that I'm very briefly going over. And it was like so detailed, and from their side, from their point of view, is things we didn't even know about until we started seeing news articles coming in talking about Kickstarter potentially forming a union. And then right in the first paragraph, Always Punch Nazis. It's like, whoa. So, Ben, what else you got on that?
Well, it was crazy. It was crazy. Breitbart News is a big right-wing media company. They're the ones who specifically attacked Kickstarter for allowing something called Always Punch Nazis on their platform. And just to get a little more detailed on that fight, you know, the management of Kickstarter wanted to roll over and remove it from the site. The employees said, no, you will not do that. And that's what led to the big multi-year fight between the employees and management. And multiple people were fired. I met with 2 women in San Francisco who had been fired because they were, they were leading the way towards actually forming the union. They were, talking about keeping the project on the platform. And it was intense. It was an intense time. So as you can see there's a link for Kickstarter United. There's a picture of all those people.
Yeah, all those people. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about when I looked at the campaign, but yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So 2020, they formed the union, and we're 4 years later, you know, and so what you're looking at right now that you're scrolling through is a compendium, an omnibus for the first 3 volumes. That's what we have on Kickstarter right now. Nice. And I didn't want to do another always punch Nazis books. I don't actually enjoy the battle, you know, and
right.
It's a political battle, and I don't.
It's tiresome.
It's tiresome, and I don't want to fight all the time. But here we are, you know. So we go ahead.
Oh no, go ahead. I don't want to cut you off.
We got it together basically in November, you know, and said, all right, fine, we're doing this omnibus. I'm literally 1 page away right now, as of today, with having a completed file.
Ooh,
for this
congratulations!
Omnibus. Thank you. So
nice.
It'll go to the printer sometime soon, and 2 months from now they'll show up at people's houses. That's the idea.
Do you know about the page count or the exact page count of what this
220 pages? I think.
Oh,
yeah,
nice. Now how many stories are in it?
I would guess approximately 30 to 35, somewhere in there. I think we started off with 8 stories in the first one, and it just grew. The books got bigger over time.
Wow.
So yeah, that's a guess.
And as far as the stories go, how many do you and Jay have in it, and or you guys just have the one, and everybody else has a bunch?
Oh, I drew one story in every volume, I believe. Jay, I don't know what you think you did.
I have no idea how many stories I wrote. So what would happen was Ben would come around, Kurt would come around, somebody would come around and say, I have an artist, they need a story. I'm like, how many pages? Yeah. And that would do it. Like, how many pages? And then I was like, all right, I'll get something together for them. Oh, they want to do a story based on this character. All right, no problem. Oh, they want, over there under the number 1, you see this character we invented called Magni. And it was like, what if Superman landed in Germany before, and Hitler raised them, basically. And the artist that we were talking to had a very olden style Superman like love. That's what inspired the character. So it was like, all right, we're gonna write this like a newsreel, like something from there. So it just became, for me, it became an exercise on genre and style. But it also became a challenge because it was just like, all right, we need another story, something different than that for this artist. We need 2 pages for this artist. And that's just, I lost track of how many stories I have in each one. Even like we put a story in there. Ben said it best. I want every Always Punch Nazis volume to be the last one. I don't want to do another one. I'm like, I would be very happy not to write another one. But when somebody wants to write a story against hate in the world, I'm there. Yeah. So I wrote a story called Farewell, and that was the last story. It was supposed to be the last story anyway.
Yeah.
And that was, I don't know. It's always, I love that one. I'm the only good Nazi. That's a great story.
Interesting. That's an interesting title. But no, I could see how like I was talking to Ben backstage, and first off, I even told him I'm like, hey, let's come on and have a show. Sure, I'll promote your book. I thought this was about World War II, so I'm an idiot. But no. Yeah, but we were talking backstage, and I even said, and everybody knows, like, as far as the politics go, like, it's over my head. I kind of stay out of it. I have the Elvis approach, like, as far as, like, like, backstage, I'll talk to people and discuss, fine. But in the public light, I'm like Elvis. I'm like, look, I'm an entertainer. I'd rather just keep my politics out of things. Do I have a standing on issues? Without a doubt. Nazis are bad. That to me is pretty simplistic and straightforward. So I don't understand the backlash on it. And not only that, I can understand how it'd be draining at that point then to constantly be putting this out, issues and stuff, and be like, look, guys, why can't we do this? Like, it doesn't make sense. So I don't fully comprehend it. I have heard other stories, not just with Kickstarter, but other crowdfunding sites taking down books because of certain things and politically charged on both sides. So it's just ridiculous to me. They're comic books, they're stories, there's freedom of speech is fantastic. Put out your book. Let's see what we got. So
and that doesn't mean you have to agree with every story in
you
a
don't
book
have
like
to
this.
agree with it. Yeah.
Maybe you just like a Thor character smashing Nazis.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and like I've said it before, like, if I buy comics for the artwork, I could not like the story. But if the story's great, awesome. Like, I can't count. I'm an art guy. Now, there are plenty of people who are story guys, and they really want, like, the dialogue story and stuff like that to be insanely cool, and they don't care if the art is really all on par. Whichever your preference, as long as one of those two captures you, and if they both do, hey, you got a winner. But I'm an art guy. I like the art in the book, and when I saw it, I'm like, oh, this is dope. And I'm like, oh, these are World War II guys going.
I was gonna say, yeah, the art
just
is
ignore me.
stunning. It.
Yeah, the art's dope. You guys got a lot of great, talented people. Like, how did you even manage that? That's crazy. Like all those volumes and creators. It's my hat's off to you.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I consider it my baby. You know, I'm the editor in chief, and you know, how do you keep track of 10 stories in a comic book? Each one has a different writer and artist, and colorist and letterer, and then to make a credits page at the end, it's a lot of work. Absolutely. You know, I'd rather just make adventure comics. I like adventure comics. That's what I'd prefer to do.
Storytelling.
Woo!
Yeah. Well, telling
really fun books.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like I said, I flipped through it and I saw the artwork. I was like, oh, this is cool art. So
that one right there is Kevin Norman, written a guy named C.W. Cook. It's based on a Jack Kirby legend, a story that is out there. That right there is a depiction of Jack Kirby, and it's just a fantastic story.
I mean, come on, you had Cat punching Hitler, so no, it like the page is dope. I encourage, like, I love that. I think that's cool.
Hilary Barta, he's been around for decades doing comics. He's
I love dynamic stuff like that. People who know my art style know that I really like. I like energy and movement and like even stuff like I can't do clean. Like Ben, you were talking earlier about like it's harder to draw this and that. Clean is hard for me. Like I messy things up, and even on accident, it's just or on purpose. I can't help it. This is dope because I can't do clean. And I look at this, I'm like, oh, that's great.
That's a Jay Hewer written story about Airboy, who was a public domain character. I mean, we literally have it all. We have public domain characters.
Yeah, like this.
German Adriola.
Ah, look at that guy. Yeah. No, oh yeah. It's so good. I like this kind of stuff, man. I get excited about as people know, blah blah. Jason's blind, so I haven't read. I was reading comics somewhere for a while, and they took the site down, sadly. But that's why I like looking at art mainly, is because I can't really read it that well. It takes me like 2 hours to read a 20-page comic. Okay. So when I'm looking at the art is what I really love, and like stuff like this is engaging. Jay, no offense. I mean, I read them. Don't get me wrong. I know you're a writer. You're like, there's nobody reads comics.
I was going to ask, and I haven't seen it myself. But I've heard about it. It's on Tubi. It's Kirby at War. Did you guys see that movie by chance?
I did not.
No, not.
It's about his. Yeah, it's dealing with his whole.
It's about Jack Kirby.
Yeah, it's about Kirby.
Yeah, I'll have to watch it.
Being a veteran. Yeah.
Let
me know how it is, because I'm going to watch it eventually one day.
Do you know which streaming platform is it on?
It's on Tubi.
Oh, Tubi. Oh, okay.
Tubi.
I'm on.
Yeah, real quick, we'll go over everybody's favorite part. We'll go over the tiers because we're at the hour mark, and I know we want to keep this. So what do we do? Okay, this is Always Punch Nazis, the PDF. Okay, I have my magnifier up. So.
That's the beginning, right? We're going to $15 for this 220-page book, digital version. I don't read digital comics, but people are more than welcome to buy it if that's
it's good for places like Australia and stuff like that, overseas where the shipping is insane. And we don't like with Frog G and Absolute and all the stuff that we do, I don't even have digital tiers. Like I like physical books. And I can't even read them. Like I said, I was reading them online recently, but I just I like physical copies.
I like the smell of paper, so
I love it, dude. Yeah.
Old
comics smell fantastic. Forget about it.
Our biggest tier, the one that everybody, we kept it simple. Let's put it like that. Our biggest one is one copy of this 220-page hardcover collection for $50.
Yeah,
you get a sticker, you get the PDF, of course, and the book.
That's a great deal. That's an insane amount of content for that price point, dude.
And then the next one is 2 copies of the same book for a discount of $80. So you're paying $40 each.
Hey, you hear that, overseas people? Buy one for a friend.
Jay came up with the idea of a signed bookplate edition. So Jay, Kurt, and I are all going to sign a bookplate that'll be inserted into the hardcovers when I ship them off.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I don't see how you'd be able to get everybody to sign it. That would be ludicrous.
No, but no matter. Well, the 3 of us have never signed a book at the same time either. So that's like, to me, that was a special thing because it's
that's cool.
He's over on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast, and Kurt's somewhere in the middle. So it's like,
no, that's the same with Frog G. The colorist Ink Spots, he's in Arizona. I'm in Ohio, and then Frog G, the co-creator, he's in like Washington State or something. Like he's on the other. Yeah, so we're all across the country. But oh yeah, Frog's over on the West Coast. But that's what's great about what we do here in the indie scene, and what a great thing about the internet. We can work with everybody all across the country. We're working with the hockey in Australia on Frog G. He's doing something. So we everywhere there's great talent, and we're discovering it. So
all over the world.
And so what's this? What we got here?
We got an original art tier. What do we got? Hey, and then Jay actually is offering a script critique.
Ooh.
Right. So if you back it at that level, he will go over up to 64-page script and tell you what he thinks about it. You know, give you some pointers, tell you where it can be improved.
Awesome.
That's a good idea. That's the first I've seen. I like that.
So
and then you have the original art. Nice.
Yeah. Kurt will do a full pinup of you punching a Nazi. So
always worth it. Always worth it, I say. No, I think this is great. I think this is fantastic. Everybody go check it out. It's on Kickstarter, so when you back, you can be like, hey, I don't have the money now. Well, hey, guess what? You don't need the money right now as long as you have the money whenever it gets funded.
3 days. 3 days.
3 days from now. Yeah, that's one reason why Ink and I do Indiegogo is because it comes out right away. Now we do plan on maybe branching out to Kickstarter from my comic later, but right now we just want to get comics printed,
What do you mean it comes out right away? What does that mean?
On Indiegogo, whenever you back it, your money comes out of the bank right then and there.
Is that
right? Yeah, with Kickstarter, obviously there's a delay. So if you forget you back the book and you only have $20 in the bank and it's $50 for you're screwed. Yeah, so I like Kickstarter and I like Indiegogo. They both have pros and cons. So, but I say put everything everywhere and get as much money as you can. I like green. So, it's all about the money, honey. This is great. I think everybody should check it out. You got a lot of content, a lot of stories, a lot of great talent. And it's a lot of fun, and everybody can agree Nazis suck. So, you can back it knowing it's a good thing. Yeah. Angela.
Oh,
I'm not seeing Cecil, man.
I just love the art, and if you ever want to come back and talk about your other projects too, I'd love to.
Oh yeah, we're really cool. Hopefully we didn't scare you. No, Angela, are there any more questions in the chat?
No, I mean a lot of people are just kind of commenting regarding the topic, and just just in regards to free speech. I mean, this is your stuff, and we support the art and whatnot. And I mean, people have opinions. We know people as well that have been canceled from their project because of beliefs the other way. On
it goes on both sides. Kickstarter and Indiegogo. I know plenty of campaigns that got shadow banned and gone from Indiegogo just because of certain ridiculous concepts. So
it's a thing. But I did drop. I mean, one thing we can all share is a love for Kirby. I did drop the link to and I actually now have it on my computer, so now I have no excuse. So I will watch it. But the Jack Kirby documentary on Tubi, it's less than an hour. So.
Kirby, he's an influence. He may not show, but he's an influence. And Angela, do you have any last questions?
The artist. Woohoo! I have no more, but this was fun. I enjoyed learning about this project.
I have one last question for our guests. Ben, if you could have any superpower, what would it be?
Flight. I was thinking about this yesterday. I think about it all the time. I used to have dreams about flying, and I don't know if you do, but
sometimes.
Yeah, I still think about it all the time. No question about it. Flight.
My dreams about flying are more like kind of like a Hulk jump. I jump, but I'm not flying, but kinda. You know what I mean? I'm going for long. Just it's weird. I don't know why. Because I do descend at some point. Yeah.
I'm literally in the middle of a field flapping until I get up in the sky and I fly.
Nice.
Can I ask a question really fast?
No.
Sure. Yeah.
Why does Batman have a cape?
Because Bob Kane wanted him to.
Because it looks cool.
Okay, fine.
I'm sorry. Bill Finger also wanted him to.
Yeah.
We've been watching. Speaking of, we've been watching this on another YouTube channel, the 1940 Batman series, and he's been having a cape, and I just kept wondering, he doesn't fly.
If you look at Bob Kane's original design for Batman, totally different than Bill Finger's. Bill Finger is the genius behind Batman, everybody.
Right.
Jay.
No capes. Anyway.
So I can't use flight because you both did. So I'll go with teleportation because I want to teleport wherever I want to go.
All right. That works.
No, you can't do that. That's mine. You got to pick another one.
Oh, shut up, Angela. Don't listen to her.
That's funny.
Nice. No, teleport. You know, I mean, teleportation. It's a good one. I've had a couple people say teleportation. I had somebody cheat, and they're like, "I want to have the same powers as Doctor Manhattan." I'm like, "No,
Hey,
no."
No,
Like,
not all the powers.
yeah.
Cheating.
Michael Odin. Cheating, Michael. No, everybody, thank you so much. Check out Always Punch Nazis on Kickstarter. Link is pinned in the top of the chat and description below. Thank you to our guests for coming on. Angela, thank you for co-hosting. Mods, we love you. I'm going to hit this button here, and everybody have a great day.
Have a good
No.